So now we're going to learn how to make changes to data sets in Einstein Discovery. We're picking up where we left off, where we've got several different data sets here in the Datasets tab of Einstein Discovery. And this first one, it's AP Dist, and probably in your own instance, if you've gone through the Trailhead trail, yours just says AP Dist. Mine is AP Dist 2 because I had previously downloaded that CSV file, and so this was secondary download. And so if you want to make a change to a data set, you just click the down arrow and select Edit Dataset. And so the way you can rename this is you hover over here by the name and it gives you the pencil icon. You can click on that to change the name. And so I'm going to change this to match what you guys probably see. And so I'm just going to get rid of the 2 and then hit enter. And so now I've got that named AP Dist. So if I go back to my Datasets tab, you see the new name there. Now once again, clicking the down arrow, in addition to Edit Dataset, you can create a story from it, which we'll get into later. You can share with other users, and then the About option, let's show that. It just gives you some of the stats around when it was uploaded, the number of columns and rows, the dataset ID and the name. And so going back to edit now, if we want to edit the dataset further, then you can get into the actual columns. These are the field names of the 7 columns, and then this one has 32,212 rows. And then here's where you associate or assign the different data types to these different fields, such as margin being a number. And we looked at that previously just a little bit, but then as well, these icons here to delete one of these fields from a data set, you click the trash can icon. I'm not going to do that for this one. And then to further adjust these, you can click the gear icon. For example, we've got this discount level column, and you can deselect some of these or rename some of these. We've got gold, silver, and other. And so, for example, we could rename silver to silvers, just for grins. I'm going to change that back though, just to show you that you can change these values. This is very powerful because the data has already been uploaded and you can very quickly make changes rather than having to go into Excel and make the changes and then re-upload. It's a real hassle. You can convert all null values to 0. Null would be a blank field. Or you could choose to include only numbers. For example, you can add all values, you can remove all values. And so for example, adding all values just basically selects all of them if some of them are deselected. And so that's what a numeric field looks like. If we were to go onto a date field, such as close date, and hit the gear icon, the minimum and maximum, this just shows you the range between January 1st of 2015 and October 1st of 2015, and you can make adjustments by clicking the pencil icon here. So we've got date fields, text fields, and number fields. Let's look at the vertical field and then click the gear icon there. And so for this text field, we've got values of, and it gives you the number of records for each, for consumer products, manufacturing, media, public sector, etc. You can rename these as well. Once again, this is a very powerful search and replace functionality. You know, also exclude or include values. I'm going to click add all values, and that selects them all. You can remove all values to deselect them all, but I'm going to keep those the default. And so this is some of the ways that you can make changes to a data set. Now, I'm not going to make changes to that one, and hopefully I've reverted everything back to how it was, so I've not messed anything up. Let's get with some of these other data sets that we've done. For example, review, that was my own reviews. So I'm going to edit that to just change the name to reviews to remind myself of what I'm dealing with. And this may be, something that you don't have the equivalent of course. I'm going to hit enter to save that and go back to data sets. And then the raw crime, I'm going to edit that one, and I'm just going to rename that. And so this gives you some ability. I noticed as well that there can be no spaces in these data set names, so it removed the space automatically. That's a good intuitive feature. Good job, Salesforce. Edit this data set. We're going to rename this Netflix. And this will be more particularly useful when you've got a lot of data sets that you're dealing with and you can see them at a glance. Now, this one wasn't really useful because it only had 11 rows. That was my example of a MySQL connection. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that one and show you how to delete a data set. And so clicking the down arrow, I'm going to select delete data set and then confirm that I want to do that. and then the screen refreshes with the deletion. So then let's go into the Denver crime one, and let's edit that data set a little further and explore some of the other options. So in addition to making these adjustments here as far as changing the type or deleting a field or changing some of the settings here, other things you can do is you can delete the data set by clicking from here in this screen. You share with other users or create a story. And then some of these things here, like this offense ID, this is something where the min and the max is this huge range, and that's not really a necessary field that we need in this data set. We don't really care about the ID of each offense. And these are unique identifiers in this data source that we pulled from. So I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of that, show you how to delete a particular field in a data set in Einstein Discovery. And so now that one is gone. And let's click apply to apply that to save those changes, and this should adjust to 11 columns instead of 12. And so now you see the screen is refreshed, and that's the way that you save the deletion of a field in a data set in Einstein Discovery. So that pretty much covers what you can do as far as changing the actual data sets inside of Einstein Discovery. And so now that we're familiar with importing and creating data sets, and we've really fully realized how to make these connections with other systems and make changes to data sets once they've been imported, we're next going to get into the Stories tab. And this is where we will create stories based on these data sets that we've set up inside of Einstein Discovery. So as is Albert, we are anxiously looking forward to learning about creating stories in Einstein Discovery.